primary chord progression for C major. The left hand plays the C major chord, which has C, E, and G, the root, the third, and the fifth. Blocked chord, C major. The four chord is comprised of F, A, and C. Root, third, and fifth. Because the fifth is in the bass, this is in second inversion. Back to the C chord in root position. And then the G chord is the five chord. The G chord is comprised of G, B, and D. The root, the third, and the fifth. Because the third is in the bass, it makes it first inversion G major chord. Then back to the C major chord in root position. So we have the one chord, C major, the four chord, F major, back to the C chord, G major for the five chord, and the one chord again for the C major. C major root position, F major second inversion, C major root position, G major first inversion, C major root position. One chord, four chord, one chord, five chord, one chord. Sometimes the five chord also has a fourth note in it. We've already said a root, a third, and a fifth, but sometimes the G major chord or the five chord also has a seventh. If we were to line them up in stacking them in thirds, it would be root, third, fifth, and seventh. But because we already play the five chord in first inversion, we'll also play the 5-7 chord in first inversion. But we're going to eliminate the D. We're going to eliminate the 5. The root, third, fifth, and seventh of the G major chord. We're going to eliminate the fifth. We're going to move the root up. So we have the root, the third, and the seventh. So we're replacing the fifth with the seventh. So here's a G7 chord, and it's just as easy to get to the G7 chord as it is to the G chord from the one chord. So from the C chord to the 5 chord G chord, or from the C chord to the G7. So now putting the G7 into our chord progression, we have the C chord, one chord, in root position. We have the 4 chord F chord in second inversion. Back to the C chord in root position. And now the G7 chord in first inversion. And the C chord again. So we have the 1, 4, 1, 5, 7, 1. Because we're in the key of C, the particular chords we're using, the primary chords in C are the C chord, the F chord, C, G7, and the C chord. The chord progression remains the same no matter what key sign you have. The 1, the 4, the 1, 5, 7, and 1. When we change key signs, those names of chords will change, but the functions will remain the same. 1, 4, 1, 5, 7, 1. C chord, F chord, C chord, G7, C chord.